Hello, welcome to the Trophy Trust, your weekly podcast for PlayStation Trophy Hunters. I'm one of your hosts, the Dazil. I'm back this week after taking a short break last week. This evening I am joined by the Vectronic.
Hello.
And also joined by Claire.
How are you doing, guys?
Evening, fellas. So, as I said, I wasn't here last week. I took a break, went on a vacation, but now I am back. I was away for a week and away from my PlayStation, but I actually took my Vita with me. It's getting harder to find games for Vita because usually I'm in the tradition of taking mine away with me, getting a platinum while I'm away on holiday, keep the trophy hunting going.
Yeah.
And come back with one, But yeah, it's getting harder these days, especially with Vita. But I did manage to find something which I will talk about soon enough. But yeah, so Braz, this is the we've mentioned this previous episode. It's sort of like we're on the road to E3 now, so the news is starting to come out now, little bits and bobs, which of course we'll go into in our news section. But yeah, I can't believe it's coming around to another E3 soon. It's always such a good time of year to start watching streams, and it's always nice to join along on Twitter as well, isn't it? The sort of joint community sarcasm, the reactions, the hot takes.
Yeah, I think you're pretty much guaranteed about 2 months of good content, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like almost like it's like gamers' Christmas, basically. It's something where we all get involved in, we all watch the streams, we all live tweet or what have you on whatever your chosen social network, and we just have at it with a full edgy criticism that we can muster.
I look at it. I look at it as the Super Bowl of the actual gaming community because you just see ads.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, because you all see is ads.
There is no bigger date in the gamer year for those who are in tune to the hype. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do like staying up, with him because of my time zone, but staying up and watching it. Usually I plug my iPad into the living room television and watch it. Sort of like it's it's a big kind of sporting event or something. Beck said, by comparing it to the Super Bowl in terms of grandeur.
Well,
yeah, but we are just plugging in to watch a load of adverts, basically, like you said.
Well, to be honest, it kind of feels like I'm a big football fan as well, like I do, and also the World Cup is in during the summer as well, So it's kind of it follows that kind of format now almost as well. It has become an event, a sporting event, not really like a sport, but just the way it's handled on management side of things, it feels like a sporting event now.
Oh, definitely with the the commentary that you get.
Yeah, and the intros and stuff like that. There was stuff like if you order something on McDonald's website in the next 10 minutes, but I think that was in the Game Awards and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
stuff like that, promos and everything during the ads and stuff like that. It's kind of crazy.
You get the pre-show talks, the post-show sort of analysis of what we've just seen. You get that horrible shoutcasting, which I can't stand. When they show a gameplay demo and there's they have commentators over it, like it's a sporty event.
The interview with the directors, the man of the match afterwards, and all those things.
How was it for you being up on stage and all of that? Yeah,
MVP.
Absolutely. Yeah, but honestly, we are all very critical of it, but we all enjoy it really.
Didn't EA bring out Pele and everything That's how crazy it gets.
That was the worst, one of the worst, most boring E3 conferences.
You could tell I wanted to be. He was I'm glad I'm getting paid for this. This is getting my niece a car. Yeah.
It went on for about half an hour, didn't it? They brought him out on a chair. He started talking about I'm not interested in football. I'm not interested in the FIFA games or anything, or any sporting game for that matter. So I don't know why I was watching the EA conference, to be honest. But I just wanted to watch a bit of everything. Oh my God! It was like watching paint dry. It really was. It was awful.
That's just one of many, many, many examples of craziness throughout the years. But E3 is always a good time, and hopefully this year is going to be.
It's always good for memes. Always good for memes and GIFs.
Definitely. My favorite thing about E3 is always the end E3 post E3 compilations that everybody does. that involves like them talking over the announcements, and it's like the funny music on the background. It's just like I want to know like what wins, what dies, like what is the best conferences in like opinions wise. It's like I love that type of stuff, and that's why I love E3 season. Oh wow.
I just love that, like, you could literally, like, your Twitter feed is just constant, and then when you post, I seem to, when I post on Twitter, I seem to get, like, constant, like, retweets and likes, just for anything. You can just post anything at the moment, and it's just, like, a reaction out of people. They'll react as well, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get a good meme or a good sort of, like, little like, quip in, you'll get quite a lot of retweets, because everyone's so fired up and excited. And but usually the cringy moments, you get like cringe compilations and the most awkward moments that come out at the end of it, like the one or
and people obviously do these kind of really, really overtly dramatic reactions and just to get YouTube views and stuff like that. So there is a kind of pathetic side to that kind of thing, but
exclusive
E3 is always definitely a time of hype. So
exclusive.
yeah, that world premiere, console exclusive.
I love that kind of stuff. But anyway,
that's just the Xbox stuff in a nutshell, I think.
I saw the E3. One of the E3 drinking games that we should do is like if a car appears on the Microsoft stage, take a shot, because they always bring a car out, don't they? They always show Forza or some racing game, and they always like bring up a really expensive like supercar out the middle of the stage. And
I bet for like the last 10 years on the Sony conferences, that like people have just been like one or two guys at the back just constantly shouting out every 10 years saying like, let us change our PSN names. Every single announcement is like, here's what we're doing with PSVR now next month, and be like, let us change our PSN name.
Oh,
because I mean, I think that would be the biggest thing PlayStation could ever announce.
It's the most
coming forward, like,
as well.
Yeah, but I mean, it is the most longest sought after feature of PSN. It's become a meme now. They've almost embraced it. No, fuck you. We'll actually not give it to you. We actually can do it, but no, we won't. You know what I mean? It's just it's just crazy. I think that's the kind of stuff that E3 is all about.
No.
Even the hype to it, you know, the disappointment you can get.
I'm now thinking about the what you said about the two guys behind the thing. It reminds me of the Muppets with the critics over there called Statler and Waldorf. I think those are names. Them like, hey guys, when are we gonna get like PSN name changes, guys? Come on.
I kind of equated it to like a guy drunk at a bar always shouting out Freebird for every song that a band would ever play. You know what I mean? Even for their own original music and stuff like that, shouting out Freebird.
More PS Plus games for free.
I would like to see a Statler and Waldorf kind of like style sort of roast of an E3 conference, like any with Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft. It would be fantastic to have like hecklers of that nature, even if it's like, I mean, if someone like did it really well as like using clips from the Muppets or like just animated it, I think that kind of like heckling of that kind of style would fit really well, especially in like in those really awkward moments where it's like, I don't know, just like really cringy moments. Like years ago, E3, where they announced what was it, Wii Music? You know, that really awful game where you like pretend to have a trumpet with a Wii remote, and they got out like Shigeru Miyamoto and a whole bunch of other people, and they just sort of like mimed playing music on the stage, and it was one of the worst things I've ever seen. It's just awful. Anyway, we have gone well off track to begin with. Exactly. We haven't even started yet, so let's just push on. I mean, E3's coming, so we're going to be talking about it a lot in the next coming week. So consider that an appetizer for E3 discussion.
Yes.
So, guys, what have we been playing? So I'll tell you what, Vec, why don't you start us off? What have you been playing recently?
Okay, so I continued off from Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, and I'm now almost about to finish that game off. I'm like the last 2 levels in before I actually beat that game. So far, I'll give my thoughts on it. It's a Lego game, so not much to expect. But if I were to actually give my input on that game, would be like, I love the humor, the writing. It's amazing. The fourth wall breaks are amazing, and I honestly thought they would not implement the side quest system from the second game, but they did it in a more charming way with separate areas you can go to, like the Hall of Justice and the Hall of Doom, um, and like the Watchtower and the Batcave. Like you can get like side missions, and each one has like a pop culture reference that actually makes a jab at itself at the very end of it all. Plus, like the voice actors themselves even come and add their own feet to it. Like it's self-aware of what it's trying to see. It's like it's a Lego game. You're not supposed to take it seriously. Uh, and I enjoy that. It's like something to take a break of after playing God of War 3, which was mostly like very crude and mature and story heavy. I mean, story heavy as a God of War game gets. Um, Personally, I was like, I enjoy this game. I recommend it to anyone who is a Lego fan and a Batman fan, or a DC fan in general. Like, if you enjoyed like Lego Batman 1 and 2, you'll probably most enjoy 3. So that's my 2 cents on that game.
It's certainly uh, meaty for a Lego game. Like there was just almost too much to do. I found by the time I got to getting the platinum for that game, I was actually burnt out on it because, like we've discussed previously, there's more than just like Earth, Gotham. You've got all like the Lantern planets to do and all the other sort of stuff,
Exactly.
as well as like the 60s Batman stuff, although there's not much of it, but it always feels like there's just so much piled in just to kind of like fill the game out, to kind of like justify the original kind of like 50, 60 pounds, dollars, whatever price. But it's very repetitive, really repetitive. Towards the end. And I remember there's one Lantern planet where it's basically just a big racetrack and you just have to go around driving through rings, and it's just boring. It's so boring. You have to like fly through rings, like Superman 64 style, fly through rings, drive through rings. It's, the game is, it's not a bad game. It is a Lego game, but Lego games have tons of filler missions in. Like I remember Lego Avengers on PS4, PS3 had some awful flying missions where you had to fly through rings over Manhattan, and just this is why I prefer the Vita Lego games. Not that they're making them anymore, but they're smaller, more compact. They don't have as much filler in as like the big console games. It's just sort of the linear level. And that's about it. It's like Jurassic World on Lego Jurassic World on Vita and on the home consoles. The levels are almost identical, but there's a lot less filler in the Vita version. I guess smaller memory cards and downloads or whatnot, which is fine. That's why I like them.
Pardon if I don't remember right, but Lego Batman 3 never got a Vita port, right?
Lego Batman, which? Sorry?
3.
Yeah, it's on Vita.
Did you play it, or did you play the PS4 version?
Both. I've done both.
Is it there's a difference between them? Like there's less missions on the Vita version, or are there more?
It's slightly different. The main story levels are similar. Some of them are kind of the same. Some levels are pretty much the same, but maybe like made a little smaller. There are other Lantern planets to visit and all of that, but maybe not as many. But yeah, the story is exactly the same. A lot of the levels are the same, if not very similar. Maybe just made a little bit more Vita friendly. But yeah, I mean, I recommend the Vita versions over the main ones anyway, just because they're less filler. They're less full of filler. Basically, you don't get bored getting the platinum for them.
Yeah, I still enjoy the game. I need to play more of it. And what you said, like, there's a lot of filler. And I noticed that because one of the things that I did was I checked my progress on that game. I was almost done with the campaign. I'm only 30% on the completion. And I'm like, really? Only 30%? It's like, there's a lot of shit to do then. And
absolutely, like every sort of like character token or gold brick or red brick or whatever it is, like
the mini kits.
some of the character tokens are like 1%, 0.1%, you know, towards the final total. So it's like depressing, you know. Like you get at a character and you think, oh, one more step, and you look at your overall progress and it's just gone up like what, a decimal point of a percentage, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
how much more, you know?
There's
That's why I've sort of not sworn off of them, but I'm taking a long break from Lego games. The last Lego game I played was, I think it was Lego Batman 3, and I just said like, look, no more for a long time. I have had my eye on Marvel Superheroes 2, or it's called the latest Marvel one, but yeah, maybe in a sale a long way down the line where I'm like, yeah. So I imagine that's got tons of filler in as well.
Exactly. But besides that, that's the only game I've been playing. I've tried to see if I could do something, but since I was ill during the week, I couldn't do much about it, so I couldn't play much. So I think that would be enough for Lego Batman 3. Who do you want to pass the torch on?
Okay. Let's go to Claire. He's been sitting patiently in silence. Claire, what have you been up to recently?
Playing a lot of games. Managed to get a good few done because I was coming up to my milestone of getting 250 platinums.
Yes, indeed.
I eventually crossed that, yeah. So I basically had played Devil May Cry. I bought the HD collection. But I only played that for nostalgia reasons because I had the very first Devil May Cry on PS2 and I loved it. And I basically got the platinum on it back on PlayStation 2, like I did everything on it, you know. And when the
HD collection on PS3 as well, didn't you? But you only did the Devil May Cry 1, didn't you?
Yeah, because I played the second one on PS2 and it was woeful of shit. And, I literally, and I swear, I this is no word of a lie. I never played another Devil May Cry. Any of the other ones I never played. I played the only ones I ever played was on the PS2, the first one, and the second one. And the second one's dirt shit. But I bought the HD collection on PS3 and PS4, but I've only ever played and platinum both the first one on it. That's all I'm interested in. Don't care. I don't care about the other two. Never even booted them up and added the trophy list.
Devil May Cry is actually really nostalgic for me as well because I did it on PS2 and I did the same as you, like, you know, did everything. And but when I got the PS3 HD collection, I just felt it hadn't really aged well, and it kind of. I don't think I even actually finished it. I mean, I played it to death on PS2. I love that game, but it being on PS3, kind of like years later, I kind of opened my eyes to it. Like, you know, what's the saying? Like rose-colored glasses, like nostalgia goggles, whatever you want to call it. Looking back fondly at a game, but it hasn't aged well. So I don't have any interest in getting it on PS4 because same thing again. You know, because.
To be honest, now I played a lot of I played a lot of HD collections and stuff like that. And it's a pretty one compared, and it's well done. Like to be honest, so, though it might not have conjured the same type of memories for you. Like for me, playing, I absolutely loved it. And like I probably I did platinum it. Have to complete the game like 6 or 7 times on each. The 3 difficulties, but then I do a few extra runs just to gather all the untouchable items, the devil stars and stuff like that for the Dante story mode. If you could just let off a lot of devil stars and untouchables during the boss fights, you're pretty much grand. And so I play like 7. I had to complete the game 7 times on PS3 and PS4, so 14 times and again. But honestly, I love the game. It's awesome, and you can complete it in an hour. I could speedrun it in an hour.
I couldn't. I couldn't do that myself. Even with a game I love, I have a limit. You know, of playing it over and over and over again. At least like consecutively to get like a platinum. And that's what's put me off of like doing the platinum for like any previous Devil May Cry games or games of that nature, where you have to basically play through each difficulty. Like the difficulty trophies don't stack or whatever. Like
I'm looking forward to getting the platinum on PS5. And
it just puts me off having to replay it over and over again. I'd rather try and do it on the hardest mode first, and then whatever. Each to their own.
I did that game anyway. Like I said, because I bought it because I knew I could complete it really quickly because I needed to get that was my 248 platinum. But I was playing God of War at the time, which we'll talk about later, obviously. But I decided to make that my 250th platinum. So I needed to go and like play games in between. I had to stop playing God of War and like play other games, play two and platinum two other games. So I just thought like, what are two really quick games that I can platinum that I'll enjoy. So I bought the Devil May Cry and did the first one, and then the second one I did was the Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Yes.
So you can only do an evening on that. So
that was a great game, and
yeah,
it's like such a unique game.
Yeah, playing it alongside God of War is really crazy because I seen that there was an overlap in the lore stories that they tell. Like one particular one was both of the characters reminisced about the time. Well, Mimir said it in God of War, but it was just one of the psychotic thoughts in Senua's head in that game. They were talking about the time Odin hung himself and killed himself for like 9 days and 9 nights to try gaining some insight to some magic. You know, just one of those mythology kind of things, you know what I mean? But they had both mentioned that. I'd taken note of that as well. So there was a lot of kind of crossover playing both of them at the same time. It's good to be I felt very kind of, in-depth in the Norse mythology. That's what I do.
I would like to see more of that. Like, not necessarily like a sequel, but I mean like of Hellblade, but more of that world, because that world was really. It's kind of like the world is like a kind of like a Norse Dark Souls, isn't it? Like,
I've seen.
Very grim.
Yeah, and it's a really well done game. Then, like you said, the environments are very grim, and it's really kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like at the end of a battlefield kind of thing, you know what I mean? It's really, really good graphics as well on the PS4 Pro and the TV and stuff. So,
photo mode as well. When I was playing that, I just couldn't help myself. Just like every environment I'd go into, I just like click photo mode on because it gets some really amazing shots. That game is just awesome.
Also, it has 2 platinums because it has a stack on a different region. So you can get a platinum in the US version and the European version for those who are interested in that kind of thing.
Well, there you go.
Which I will be sometime later on in a few months.
Sure.
And then I 250. I popped God of War. Sorry, I was very happy with the milestone. We'll go into that later. And then actually, one of the games that had in my backlog, I just popped in as well, which was Prison Architects. I got 251, which is where I'm at right now.
Nice. Awesome. All right then. So I guess that leaves me.
Yes.
So what I've been playing recently is I've been playing a lot of God of War, but I'll just leave that to the end so we can, me and Claire can sort of like have a little discussion about what we thought. When I went away on vacation, as I said, I took my Vita with me, tried to find it. I found a really nice little game called Sir Eats a Lot. I posted a few pictures to my Twitter, a few screenshots.
Yeah.
It's like a side sort of light platforming adventure game. It's got a hand-drawn style. It kind of the art style really reminds me of like a 90s kind of PC point-and-click adventures, like a kind of that cartoony kind of, and the animation is not like smooth. It's kind of like in increments, like them old point-and-click games I used to play like as a kid on my old PC. It's really nice. It's just a really simple sort of side-scroller game, but it's I described it also as it has like light Metroidvania kind of like environmental layout. Like it's not as complex as a Metroid or Castlevania game in terms of like the map, but there's like offshoots. It's not just sort of like A to B, like just keep going right to the end of the game. There's like there's backtracking to be done, little side quests and whatnot, and it's only on Vita as well, and it utilizes all the Vita hardware as well. So you use the front touchscreen to like the let me describe it. The environment reminded me of classic Rayman, the first Rayman, because all the environment is made out of food, like the different environments, different areas of the game you go through. You've got like broccoli forests where the trees are all broccoli, and you've got like caves that are made out of like chocolate and cocoa and all of that, and the snow. You've got like icing and ice cream and all that. Like and it reminded me of Rayman because the later levels in the original Rayman had like a food mountain like made of candy and stuff, so that was really nostalgic. Anyway, so you have health and you have stamina, like so you can run and do stuff, and you like tap the screen to like pull like candy and chicken legs and stuff that's growing on trees, like to eat to like fill your stamina bar up. The rear touchpad is used to like knock down obstacles. You use a walk over, so there's like logs that you tap the rear touch and the log will roll down over a chasm, so you can walk over it. You also have to collect stickers of like enemies and characters in the game. You tap them and it opens a sketchbook, and you get an outline, and you have to draw the outline within a time limit. It uses motion controls. You get a little boat later on in the game, and you use motion controls to like rock the boat back and forth to avoid obstacles in the water. And it also uses the camera, the rear camera, for the same thing it's used in Uncharted Golden Abyss, where you hold the camera up to a light source. In the game, you go in a lot of dark caves. In Sarit's a lot, you go in a lot of dark caves, and you get a carrot that glows in the dark. You know, like the urban myth of like, carrots can help you see in the dark. A little kind of play on that. But you get like cracks in the walls where like natural sunlight is coming through. So you stand in front of it, and Sarit's will hold the carrot up, and then you have to hold the Vita up, like a window, the light in your room, or whatever, to charge the carrot up. So it's basically just a torch to charge the torch up so you can see where you're going. So it uses all the Vita's hardware like really cleverly. I mean, I'm not really one for gimmicks. I've said in the past, if I could go back and redesign the Vita personally myself, I'd get rid of like the rear touch and all of that. But it's nice to see it used this late in its life. And it's quite cheap as well, and it has a platinum, very doable platinum, a few missable trophies, but with a guide. I posted the guide here as well in the Hidden Gems channel on our Discord, so anyone listening as a member on Discord, you can just have a look. It's pretty straightforward. It's a fun game. It's got some good humor.
It reminds me of Fat Princess in like the art style, and just a bit, but the side scrolling. Like I'm looking at the screenshots, like it is reminiscent of Rayman, like very reminiscent. Like you can see like how it draws some inspiration towards that game, but it just keeps it unique and tied to like the food aspect, because he's actually trying to eat a lot of things. But yeah, it's a very interesting game. I've never heard of this, so I'm gonna keep an eye on it. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely recommend it. It's a really nice sort of chill game. I didn't really get to like there's only a few frustrating bits for me in the very later levels with some platforming, because where he's like an overweight knight, and like his jump, he doesn't jump like Mario, for example. His jump is very heavy, and you have to do a lot of running jumps to clear a lot of gaps. So sometimes you will get cheap deaths because you can't quite make the jump. But other than that, the game is very straightforward, and you don't need a guide or anything like in order to complete the game. Outside of trophies, you just take note of a few missable trophies and keep them in the back of your mind. It was longer than I thought as well. Like when I first bought it, I thought it was just going to be a platformer and be done in a couple of hours. But it took me I was playing it quite slowly, but it took me about 5-6 hours. So it's a decent length game for what it is as well. So yeah, I recommend it. Yeah. And then I came back off a holiday and I finished God of War. I platinumed it, and this is where I'll bring in Claire to discuss what he thought as well. We will obviously not go into spoilers. We'll try and keep it as vague as possible, but we will talk about like game mechanics, but just not story beats. So that game is awesome. It's just the actual like the side missions and the sort of like stuff you can do like post story and all that, because the whole world is, you can explore it. I found whole different sections that I didn't even know was on the map. You just didn't think there'd be a God of War game with like so many collectibles, so many things to do, like treasure maps, doing favors and side quests for like people in the game, doing some challenges to be done. There's like different areas to explore other than the initial map, and I think they did just such a really good job of like fleshing the game out more than just the hack and slash that it was for all those years, after going from like Ascension, where it was like pretty mediocre, like it was pretty disappointing after 3, to something like this where there's just so much content even outside of like the epic story.
Yeah, well, like you said, if you compare, for me, like I really, really, really enjoyed the game. I'm gonna start off by saying that it was amazing. But like I still think the Serenity is the best. Like, you know what I mean? I just don't think you can beat that. I've said it on a previous podcast. Like, that's why Ascension fails, because like you can't have a game after the trilogy where he went and defeated all the gods of Olympus, where you're just going off and fighting some other lesser people that doesn't have the same type of impact. And I think that's why that's changed in this reimagining of the game, though, because obviously he has a personal relationship with his son. It's about a journey that's incredibly personal to him, and it's a completely different God of War game. Like I said, it's not the hack and slash that we know or anything like that. So I love the reinvention of it, and I love the new format that they are going to take for the future God of War. Like, and I really enjoyed the experience. I still think the trilogy is the best.
What I really like.
I prefer that all the way about it, if you know what I mean. Because it's hard to say without spoilers, but there's a certain point where the combat gets a million times better. You know what I mean? And that's it was at that point that I kind of realized I was like, I kind of want that old kind of thing, you know what I mean? But I still loved it. I still really enjoyed it. So I don't know what it's not a complaint or anything like that.
I thought up until that particular point where the combat expands, just to say this is. At that point, I was thinking, is this other than like, because you find runes, which is like in the old God of War games, you would buy new moves for your weapons. But in this game, you find runes that unlock new moves for your weapons, like the runes that you equip into your axe, for example. They would, like in previous games, you charge up your blades or whatever weapon you got equipped, and then it would unlock like this particular combo, this particular move, like, I don't know, like just off the top of my head, like the Storm of Ares or something, you know, like those kind of like moves. But in this one, you have to find the moves, then you apply them, and then you can like upgrade them. And up until the part where the combat opens up a bit more, I was like kind of like not. I'm trying to choose my words carefully here to not sound like it was a criticism, but I thought, is this all it is? Is this all it's going to be, like in terms of like the combat? And then it just sort of like changes, and you've got a little, and it's more variety. And especially in sort of like later games where, or like in like the certain like the challenge areas, for example.
Yeah, definitely. Like up until that point, like that's like I had complaints, like about 3 or 4 complaints about the game. Not complaints, but like kind of I expected more of the game, if you understand. And that was one aspect of it, combat. But then that immediately satisfied that aspect of it. I was like, that's amazing. Like now that's 10 out of 10 for me. But then I questioned if the 2 or 3 other things would get resolved with just through normal playing of the game, but I didn't. When I got to the very end, it still seemed very lacking. And I don't mind saying this because I don't think it's a spoiler, but I think there's a lack of variety in the game, like bosses and also enemies. You know what I mean? If you think about the other games, man, the amount of bosses and the amount of small mini bosses and like different enemies that are specific to certain areas and stuff like that, it's a lot more generic.
I do agree with that. When you count the main bosses, the actual story bosses, like you get like mini bosses, like the it's not a spoiler. You see it in like the first footage of God of War, the trolls, the ones with the big rocks that they have. They're like
tombstones or something.
Yeah, they're like mini bosses, but they're not like story beat bosses, because they're like there's quite a few of them in the game, and you get like you've got ogres, which are basically this God of War's version of what were they called? Cyclopses. Yeah, they're basically this version, because you can mount them the same like in the previous games. Then you've got like mini bosses, which is the ogres. But the main story bosses, I was actually few there were in the game. I mean, they're fantastic, but I thought they'd be like God of War 3, like every like.
This is a test. This is like a prequel or something like that to a main trilogy. In my opinion, they're gonna make a trilogy next. I don't think that was like the first one. I think now, because I can't spoil it, but once you finish the story, the first thing you have to do, not buy the game, but the first thing you should do is go home and see that extra cutscene. Now, if you've seen that extra cutscene and you know what I'm talking about, then I think that perfectly sets up the next game. And I can see the next game starting exactly where that cutscene left off. Because that's kind of way God of War 2 transitioned into God of War 3.
Exactly.
I mean? So I think that would be the start of it. Like, I think they're either planning a trilogy, and that this has just been. I think Sony kind of took a risk on this, and it's obviously paid off because it got an amazing critical success from its story and stuff like that, and its gameplay and everything, and it's sold phenomenally as well. So they're obviously going to greenlight any amount of sequels and a trilogy going forward. Like God of War is back; it's on the scene, it's back again. You know what I mean? But to me, like, it just felt like I said, a little bit not as fleshed out as the other God of War games. You know what I mean? But that will happen. I think that will happen in the next games.
Okay.
That's what I mean. You know?
I'm gonna chip in as someone who's never played the God of War PS4, but has played the other games. I think going as a prequel. I mean, like the first game of a trilogy.
A teaser, kind of,
yeah, like a teaser. I don't want to go for like showing like the major gods. Like, of course, you could not show Loki, Thor. I mean, you can mention them by name, but you can't like show them right away, because you have to show like the lesser gods, like the demigods and like.
Well, I don't know, man. The very first God of War, he ended up killing Ares. So.
Yeah, so like in the first game, of course you killed Ares, but throughout the other game, you kill like other mythological creative beings, and including God of War 2, you kill Perseus, which is like important to the story.
Yeah, what I mean is, like, if you think about like God of War as the trilogy, what he did in God of War 1, 2, and 3, like, obviously it's not as epic this time around, but it probably still is like that entry into it, if you understand.
Yeah.
There is
but I still think
in this new God of War, there is a lot of setup. Like, they're obviously drawing a lot of like this.
There's a burning question that nobody can answer for me, and I wanted answers. You know that they're like they really did like a fantastic thing, like you've seen, setting up like the world forward.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of clues, and like obviously like the ending, the true ending of it, when you go home and see the ending of it, is epic, and it really sets up the next few months.
They are definitely setting it up for sure, because like there's all the stories that are told in the game, all the mythology, Norse mythology, but also the Norse myth, like Ragnarok and all of that is mentioned loads of times during this, which could be the end game of the trilogy, of this like hypothetical trilogy, couldn't it? You know, like the end of the gods of Olympus was their reckoning.
Well, I think they were saying that they alluded to like that there is those worlds, and that Kratos just jumped from ancient Greece to the gods of that other world, if you understand. Kind of the way he's able to use the fast travel system in the actual game. You understand? I also wanted to kind of ask you something about that. It is talking about something in the game, but I don't think they'll kind of understand. But like, do you remember in the game, like this kind of just alludes to the little clues that they had left that are completely unresolved? Because it was never ever mentioned again, but I caught onto it. There's that big serpent that you see in the trailers and stuff. Like
the Leviathan.
In the game. No, it's Jorgemund or whatever. I can't remember. But
the world serpent.
Yeah, but he to communicate with him, they have to use Mimir, like the head. But to call him, they have to blow into a horn. And there's a certain point in the game where you are not at there, but you hear the horn blowing. So somebody obviously called him. And then it's just like, we'll deal with that later. But it was never dealt with. So who called that?
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that, because I thought you'd go back and find.
You remember that point? That point is highly spoiler, so I can't. I think I said it well enough without actually saying spoilers. But you know what I mean? Like, so was a point where they're going through their story. Somebody blew that horn to speak to him, and they also said that there was only one person that could actually speak to him, which was Mimir, and you have his head on your belt. You know what I mean? So who? I think that's a bigger god. Or you know, there's so many different things in the background lurking, and we've even seen from the trailers that there was like fake, or there was like stuff following Kratos in the trees and stuff like that. So I'm hoping a lot more. Yeah. Hoping the community finds a lot of these kind of things.
There is also another thing that's said by Mimir, again, not a spoiler, but like a vague thing that could come up in potential later games. You get these cabinets in the game, which are basically like drawings of like Norse mythology. When you open them, basically Atreus will just translate it to and just tell you the story of this Norse myth. And
the
there is
wolf carries the sun across the thing, and then the moon follows.
the two wolves that chase the moon and the sun, like just typical Norse mythology. No like spoilers for the game, just like you could look this up. It's Norse mythology. But there's one bit where they're talking about where Atreus is reading it, and he says, "Is this the future or the past?" And then Mimir says, "Well, that's a matter of perspective," which is really vague, but I think is a cool kind of like alluding to like where we can go and all of that with the.
Man, I want a podcast where we can actually just spoil our guts.
we'll try
Because there's something I noticed as well that I just can't say it because to even talk about it is just absolutely spoilery.
Right. So we'll move away from this and just go back to like game mechanics.
I want to spoil it for you.
I want to talk a few more minutes about the game mechanics. There was some really cool little touches which made the game really special for me. For example, the dialogue between Kratos and Atreus, and I don't mean like cutscenes. I just mean when you're traveling. Like there's instances where Kratos will be telling these kind of like stories to Atreus, like fables, like stories with a moral for it. But Kratos is terrible at storytelling, so it's like it's kind of funny at the same time in a deadpan humor kind of way. But there's also bits where like I was doing I stopped. I was leaving an area and I stopped to open a treasure chest, and Atreus says this little sly comment like, "Oh, we're just going to loot this ancient temple," and it caught me off guard because I thought like, "Holy shit!" Like, yeah, that's what you do in games. You like stand there and you, rather than like getting on like you would in real life, you kind of go around and loot the area for everything you can find. So it's like the game is aware that it's a game, but kind of like not like full break. Do you know what I mean?
I threw the axe at him and he cursed me.
I have a.
The axe is really cool. Now the way I discovered, I left my axe somewhere really far away, and I went to a shop to upgrade the axe, and I went on the axe tab, and he just held his hand up in the air, and the axe just came flying into the shot. Like I didn't even know you could summon the axe.
I like that bit in the Avengers with Thor. Remember when he was fighting Hulk and on the thing? Mjolnir was really far away, and he just put his hand.
Yeah, you can call it from basically anywhere, and yeah, so I do like.
The brothers were very funny as well, actually. Brock and the Sindri.
Yeah, the dwarves, the people who run.
They were brilliant.
The game.
I loved their dynamic as well because I think I really enjoyed Sindri. I loved the way that he was like a germaphobe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was like
he didn't want to. Yeah, and he was always getting sick. It was like even when people were talking about like killing creatures and stuff like that, he was like getting sick.
Yeah, it'd be like dry heaving when they were talking about like guts and blood and that. But there's this one line.
Told me to fuck off once. Actually, Brock did. He was like,
that's basically. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. He's like really blunt. There was this one bit where Atreus is like, he said something to me. He says like, "Oh, what are you up to, Brock?" And he just goes, "Nunya." And Atreus says, "Nunya?" He's like, "None your fucking business." Like he just, the dialogue is when you like activate the shop. The dialogue that's generated is so good sometimes, and especially like and Mimir's got some really good dialogue. He describes
Mimir's brilliant. He's fantastic.
Mimir's like just fantastic. He describes Thor as a sweaty ball bag, and that's just I just caught me off guard.
He's a personality that like really stood out in the game, and he's fantastic when you're going through the collectible run because there's a lot of sailing and stuff like that. And,
I would deliberately not dock up to hear the end of the stories.
That's one thing I didn't like actually because Kratos always said be quiet, and I was like, no man, tell more. I was like, I'm gone, you Kratos man, I controlled you, so don't say that kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
He never calls him by name either. He just calls him Head, which is like quiet head all the time. What else? Like the combat itself is really cool. By the time like when you as the story progresses, of course, like Atreus becomes more confident in fighting, and you unlock more abilities and all of that. And he becomes really reliable in battle. Like after a while, you can once you upgrade his bow and all of that. It's really helpful because his bow, with certain like arrow types, you can stun an enemy and interrupt their attack. So you can create an opening. Like enemies with shields, you can either like bash the shield yourself or create an opening. And like I would charge at an enemy, fire off some arrows from Atreus, get a stun going, then do that leap, run and jump, axe pummel, and that would usually like be the starter of my combat like all the time, and summoning like Atreus can summon like kind of like animals, like animals made of like energy. You get different runes. Like I always had the crows equipped, so he would like summon a swarm of like electric crows, or crows made of light, and they'd like swarm all around the enemy. So like all the particle effects in that game, like holy shit. When like in later game when to stay vague, when the combat changes, when you're doing that. And you've got Atreus firing electric arrows, and you've got runic attacks going on. You've got enemies of ice, enemies of fire. The screen is like watching a fireworks display. There's just so much color and vibrance and particles and like.
It's just another fantastic Sony first studio party studio fucking thing. It's amazing. They've been characters, Jen. Every single one of their first party studios have been. The performance has been fantastic, like from Uncharted 4 to Horizon to now this. Like, it's clear that they've done some kind of magic on their little
I would like some. I think the director of God of War said that like I think he pretty much said there isn't going to be DLC, but if there was, I would definitely be buying some DLC for this game. I mean, never say never. You never know; they might tack it on. I'm pretty sure in an interview he said this is just a complete package. Like this is everything in one game. Because once you post story quests or whatever order you want to play it in, really, because some quests you can't really do until after the story. Once you've got like all the abilities unlocked, felt like DLC anyway. Like some of the little sides, like staying vague, but like there's mines you can explore. There's old like settlements. There's like old fortresses and stuff you can explore. Some of it felt like DLC. Like it's so far removed from the story, but still within the world, that it felt like this could have been sliced off into DLC, and downloaded. They didn't, which is great. But I'm just saying, like the way it feels like it's extra on top of already like a game with like quite a lot to do. Yeah. So definitely like a recommendation from me for sure. Like the game was fantastic.
Yes, and it's the second best game I've played this generation.
So that was the God of War podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be personally discussing God of War anymore. That's my 2 cents on it.
I mean, some guys here already have like interest with talking about spoilers in the game, but I think we could set it up for a spoiler cast if you guys like. I don't know. Depends. I won't be recording that one because I actually want to play that game. So, anyways, shall we move on to like the news section?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get some news going.
Okay, so
lead the way, Vic.
No worries. So let's talk about E3 again, but this time we're gonna talk about something interesting. Our neighbors on the north, Canada. Our Walmart of Canada has leaked images of pre-orders for some upcoming titles on their website. And to be honest, I was very surprised about this. So let's start off with some of the actual like titles themselves. We have Assassin's Creed, Lego Villains. Like I think it's like Lego DC Villains, Rage 2, which was honestly that was very interesting of them just going to Rage 2. They also have like Call of Duty, basic titles like that, and Battlefield. I think that was one of them. But the interesting part is that basically they get laid out almost every single one of the games that were going to be spoiled into like this upcoming E3. So I want to know what you guys think about this leak from Walmart.
Well, firstly, this is almost a regular occurrence in terms of like online listings. It happens with Amazon. It happens with smaller websites. Stuff gets leaked, but I don't know. Just never seen one of like such a big drop of like potential upcoming games, or but going into like the individual ones, well, just first of all, an Assassin's Creed one sounds weird because I thought that there wouldn't be another one so soon.
Yeah.
I would expect it to be like Watch Dogs 3 rather than like, unless it's like some standalone DLC or some like 0.5 to the next one. I don't know. It just
says
the Assassin's Creed.
It just says.
I'd be very disappointed if it is Assassin's Creed, because then we're back on track. Here we go, yearly releases again.
Yeah.
Quality declines.
Yeah, it is odd that it's too soon. Like, I honestly thought it would have been Watch Dogs 3, which is what I would have been more hyped for. In the last couple of days since this, Bethesda and some of the official Twitter accounts have been like hinting more and more at Rage 2 being real, because one of the Twitter accounts took a screenshot of this and they like scribbled all over it in pink writing.
Yep.
And they've been doing a lot of these teasers in the last 2 days. One is of Big Ben in London with the hands pointed at particular numbers, and there's like pink paint smeared all over the clock face.
Yeah. Which resembles
the hands point to.
Which resembles the anarchy symbol.
The anarchy symbol, yeah, the anarchy A, and the hands point to, I think it's 14 minutes past 5, I think it is, or 40 minutes past 4. No, I think it's past 5. It's like the rumored like release date or whatever of it, or whatever it is going to be. And then they showed another teaser image, was a rocket with sort of like jet exhaust flying up above countryside. And again, to me, that looks like English countryside. To me, and you got Big Ben and English countryside. I'm thinking, like, could this be like set in like post-apocalyptic like London or something? Because like, what's with this British sort of like style of these teaser images?
It looks interesting. Whatever they might go with, I'm interested, because Rage 1 ended on a cliffhanger. So I wonder what will they do with this game instead. So I'm awfully interested.
I never played the first Rage, to be honest. Yeah. I know of it, I've seen it, but I've never actually played it.
Well, Rage 1 was a very interesting shooter. The problem was that I didn't like much of the combat itself. I preferred more like what they were going for, which was interesting at best. But I did not like how it ended. So I'm excited to see what they want to do, because they're bringing back old IPs from back to like the backlog they have of IPs at this point. But yeah, although the other titles are very interesting too. You want to say something else, Taz?
Oh no, you were going on to the other titles. I was just going to say, like, the Lego DD Villains is an interesting one, but you've got we've got like the Lego Incredibles coming. That was announced.
Yeah.
But doing a villains one would be, I guess, interesting. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm staying well away from Lego games for the foreseeable future. So this doesn't really interest me, to be honest. It's going to be a Lego game. There's not going to be anything different. It's just going to be from a villain's perspective story. Like kind of like a goofy Suicide Squad, or it's going to be like Lego Batman movie. It's going to have like all in it, like all like the 60s Batman villains, all the obscure comic book ones. Which is cool, because it has decent potential for playing as all these villains' abilities and whatnot. But again, when it comes to Lego games, the characters are always just kind of variants of other characters in terms of abilities. Like, they fly, or they have magnetic powers, or X-ray vision, or laser vision to cut through walls and stuff. But you know what I mean? It's always just slight variants of all of like the same like 10 powers. So I'm not trying to be like particularly negative about it, but Lego games just seem to have the same template as they had for like the last, I don't know, 10 years sort of thing. So I'm not really hyped about it.
What else? There was something interesting. I did not expect that to list Just Cause 4 and Beyond Good and Evil 2. Especially more on Beyond Good and Evil 2, because Beyond Good and Evil 2 has been on pre-alpha at this point, and we've seen gameplay on the pre-alpha. So that doesn't make sense. Why would they put it on pre-order so early? But I may be getting hype, but I doubt it. But
maybe it's one of those things where if you pre-order it so early, you get access to like a beta of it or something, because it is supposed to be like some. They were alluding to it being like an online kind of like infrastructure with like loads of things to do. So like, at least when they showed it last E3 last year, it's kind of like it's the grand scheme of it was supposed to be like a big, like everyone's going for these kind of like Destiny style like games as a service kind of like structures for games. So I think that's what they're kind of like going for. So maybe they've just put up the pre-order and you get a code and you can try a beta or something. That's just a theory, I guess. Or maybe they're putting it up really, really early for you to entice people into it to try it out.
Maybe. There also is the Tom Clancy's Division 2, Borderlands 3, and Destiny Comet, which is... What the fuck is Destiny Comet?
To be honest, it fucking, I don't know, man. It all bores me. They're all boring.
The Destiny is probably going to just be like I don't know, like their wasn't Taken King like one of the big expansions, and the other one like it was also released on disc as well as download. Maybe it's just like the next big expansion on disc or something, you know.
Probably.
Or just a working title or a project title.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Do you remember? Oh no, I'm thinking of something else. The name Comet, that was the code name to one of the Assassin's Creed, wasn't it? Before Origins came out. Before Origins came out, I said Oranges.
Yeah, I
by
heard
mistake.
you.
Yeah, before Assassin's Creed. It's because people on Twitter, like when they write it, they write it as a joke. Ass Creed Oranges, like as a it's like a joke. So that popped into my head at the wrong moment. But yeah, Comet was like the code. This is just like nothing to do with Destiny. It just reminded me of one of the code names for one of the Assassin's Creed while it was in development. I think it was I think Comet was the code name for it. I think you can check it, but whatever. What was the other games, or is that it?
There was a Final Fantasy VII Remake. Although something interesting about the Final Fantasy Remake, it's also listed as an Xbox game, which was
Okay.
I did not expect that.
Just the price of it coming back to go multi-platform. We can't, like, the amount of money they're going to spend in probably that kind of development of the game, they're going to need to have a multi-platform to get.
Yeah.
It's all dollars nowadays. It's all dollar bills. Like, you know, same with Crash Bandicoot with that coming to different places.
That's true.
And mine is the price of the games coming back into our lives and being able to play these remakes.
Yeah.
They go to all platforms, and that's grand. So I don't mind.
That's true.
As long as it has a trophy list, I don't give a fuck.
I think the last few games were Splinter Cell, Insurgency, Sandstorm, and Last of Us 2. And before I forget, of course there's Dragon Quest 2, but none of us are RPG guys, so we're not going to talk about that one. So, Last of Us 2, I mean, it's listed as Last of Us 2, but not Last of Us Part 2. So, I don't know about you guys.
Just placeholder names, placeholder stuff. I don't know. It's just a space on a website, isn't it? You know, none of the prices ever reflect the final one, and the artwork. I mean, all the artwork on this website was just all black Xbox and PS4 cases with just the name, just like in text, just written on them. So it's just all placeholder stuff, you know.
What's this? Interesting tidbit that the Comet is actually a code name used in Bungie's contract for the DLC of previous Destiny DLC. So, okay, that's interesting. Thank you, Tombstone, for that tidbit. I did not know about this. I'm not a Destiny fan, so I don't know any much of this, but thank you so much. So, I think that's it with the Walmart leaks. So, and let's move on to like the E3 presentations for Sony. So Sony just revealed that they're gonna be broadcasting from LA on June 11th, and will only focus on 4 PlayStation exclusives: Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, and Last of Us Part 2. It would have stellar announcements from third-party publishers and independent and indie developers that will provide new experiences that will make the everybody happy. So, other thing is that they will reveal more details during the showcase, but they will also have it live streamed, which is something that is interesting because they're doing it like a Nintendo type of thing. like a treehouse type of thing that they show the gameplay as well as the actual thing. So my guess is they have playable builds ready. They just want to show like the gameplay. So I want to know what you guys think about this.
Well, it's fine. I don't mind either way. It's good to focus some more on. Well, we only saw like sort of like I guess in-engine footage of Ghost of Tsushima last time, so it'll be very interesting to actually see gameplay because we don't really know anything about that. What was it? Sorry, what was the other games? The Last of Us 2, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding.
Yes.
Death Stranding, of course, we know nothing about that. So if we do see some gameplay, that would be fascinating. It's been like 3 years now, isn't it? Like we're just speculation of what the game could be. So if they actually show some proper not live, but like actually in-engine, in-game footage of what you actually do in that game, then then we can start like thinking, analysing it and getting into the nitty gritty of it, of what we can expect this game to pan out and be, and whether it'll actually put people off or make people who have previously not been interested now interested in it. So yeah, that's probably going to be the big one because I mean, all these games I'm already sold on anyway, more or less. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima, maybe I'm on the fence until I actually see some gameplay of it, but it's by Sucker Punch, so I'm a fan of all their previous games, so I'm probably sold on that one as well. Last of Us, they'll probably show off some more cutscenes and all of that. I would be surprised if we see actual gameplay. They might show us a vertical slice of, as they say, of like some gameplay, but no, like just like a scripted bit, like where, like, do you remember, like in previous games, like when they first showed the first Last of Us, where it was like sneaking through the apartments, or in the helicopter boss from Uncharted 2, like where they show very specific bit of gameplay that's like heavily scripted to sort of show you like the most impressive parts of the game. They might do that. I don't know. I wouldn't be, if they just show a few more like cutscenes. I don't know. It may feel like a bit of a cop out, but it would be nice to see some gameplay still.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I can say about that. As for the style of the presentation, I'm not really bothered, to be honest. I don't mind the sort of the treehouse style that Nintendo do, if this is indeed how they're going to do it, or if it's more like I like the grandeur of the stage, the presentation. I like hearing audio. I really like hearing the audience reaction. Like I remember when we watched the God of War reveal to that live orchestra, and just the audience reaction was just amazing. Like I was watching it on a stream at home at night, but it kind of felt like we were all like one big audience at the same time. So yeah, I don't know. I'll just see. It doesn't matter in the end. It's the same information is still coming out to us regardless of the format of the show. So that's really what I can say about it.
Yeah, Claire, what do you want to say? Want to give your 2 cents on this, or?
I don't really look into things too much, honestly, because I'd rather just enjoy the show, man, and I'd rather just kind of watch it. So all these kind of, I'm not someone that like seeks out that type of information. Like all that kind of stuff just leaked, and I was like, we're going to see it anyway. It's going to happen. Like I never, like, even if it did get released early, like I wouldn't watch some like mobile phone footage or some offhand trailer or something like that. Just ruins it, Like you wouldn't go see a great film like you wouldn't see like a pirated version of a great film. You know what I mean? I don't think it's the same thing for me, man. I'd rather just wait for the actual show. It's like that said. I'm more about like having a live Twitter feed while you're actually watching the live stream itself. Like that kind of build up is what it's about for me.
Yep.
So I just kind of, at the moment, I'm just kind of ignoring everything that comes out really a bit closer to the date.
Yeah. It's
I just hope it falls on a decent day. Usually, almost every single year of the last like 4 or 5 years of E3, it's actually fallen on a day where I can actually have the opportunity to stay up very late because of the time zone difference, and not pay for it the next day, sort of thing. So hopefully it will fall on a good day for me. But then again, there has been instances previously where maybe not necessarily Sony ones, but other conferences I wanted to see that have been late. I've had to just set my alarm and wake up early.
I might want to give you the bad news. It's the showcase starts on Monday, June 11th, and it
Right.
continues to like Tuesday, June 12th in the UK in the 2 in the morning.
Hmm.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's a
that
work
sucks.
day. It's a work day. Like, really? Well,
Oh
nothing else.
well.
Yeah. I'll be
Yeah, I
definitely
might have to
rewatching
go
it.
to bed early, set an alarm, wake up, and then sleep again, possibly. Because I like what Claire just said. It's nice being in the moment on Twitter, like reacting to everyone else. Like that's the most fun part for me for E3. The like the hot takes and like the funny like little quick like jabs and all of that.
But
That I
wait,
really enjoy it because I don't. Everyone likes to be really super critical and all of that, but I don't take it seriously. I enjoy it. I find it really entertaining during that kind of those heated moments of like everyone scrambling to be like, oh my god, it's God of War, all caps lock and all of that. Like that's really fun. I really enjoy that. The reaction, that split second up to the second reaction that Twitter provides us. So yeah, I'll wake up for it, but we'll see.
hey, we'll record the reactions live.
Hmm.
No promises though. Anyways, the last bit of news that we want to talk about this today is that, of course, we know that Monster Hunter World has done well, but I want to know how well it got. 7.9 million copies. Well, uh, that is a very good way to like promote a game. Like, just give it like a 7 point. Like, we have seen like a bunch of games that have like high sales. Like, for example, God of War got like how much? Around 7 or 8 million copies sold. I think it's more. Uh,
Well, according to this, sorry, just talking about Monster Hunter particularly, it's actually now the best-selling Capcom game of all time,
exactly.
which is
So
pretty crazy considering it's like such a new game, such a short amount of time for these games to sell. Like, and Capcom's got like, a huge legacy of games behind it. Like Street Fighter, Mega Man, and etc. etc. They've been Resident Evil. They've been making games forever. And yeah, just to have like the best-selling game of like their best-selling game of all time happen within this year and in such a short amount of time is really crazy. They definitely sort of captured lightning in a bottle with this
you know,
one for sure.
you know what made it that way is like they knew they can't use the PS2 models anymore, so they only now have to use like new rendered models. That's the joke I've been hearing a lot around the social medias about that game. Like, its success is like they stopped using the PS2 models. They're forced to do something with the other models. So yay! Plus, that game, it looks fun. Plus, grindy. So yeah, I think that's enough for the news for this week. Uh, shall we kick it off with the tricky trophy section?
Yeah, sure. So, as you guys know, we have our Tricky Trophy segment where we look back through our trophy collections and some of the most challenging, rage-inducing gameplay, or just plain boredom and grinding we've had to endure for a single trophy. Now, I tell you what, Veg, why don't you lead us this time and tell us what your Tricky Trophy is for this week?
Okay, so my tricky trophy comes from the form of a DLC trophy from
Yeah.
Alice Madness Returns. So the DLC pack is the Alice American McGee's Alice, which is the PC port. I mean the PS3 port of the PC game that was released before this game and is the sequel to. The thing is that Alice American McGee's Alice is a built-in DLC that you can access, and it has trophies. So I thought, okay, I'll play the first game and then I'll play the sequel, and I'll get like the story and stuff. Oh, don't do that. Save yourself the trouble. Don't play this game. The problem is that the trophy itself is called Full Recovery, which is basically beat the entire game. Now, this shouldn't be a problem since it's like a short, like 4 to 5, 6 hour game. That is like a PC port of the game, but the problem is it's a port, and the game was originally intended to be played with a mouse. So imagine my surprise when I found out that game is a platformer and has combat and uses mouse controls, and you have to play it with the actual controller itself. So I took upon the task in beating the entire game. Now, the first thing I have to tell you is that the game is insanely cryptic. Like, you get a sense of what direction you have to go, but there's sometimes where the game branches you off and it gives you like multiple entrances and you can go backtrack to some previous levels. But the problem is, um, there's like an area you have to go in where there's leads to two ways. If you go to the left, you enter one area which is completely bullshit because that part is the way that you're not supposed to go, and you're supposed to go when you get like the MacGuffin when you go to the other side of the other room, and then you get that MacGuffin. Yeah, exactly. Plus the problem with that game is that the combat itself has it's bonkers. Since it's like mouse control games, you use the triggers in order to attack, and since it does not use the analog controls that very well, so you have to use the analog controls to steer Alice, and then you have to move in front. So it's like tank controls, and it's just like no. If you ever want to play like the first American McGee's Alice, play it on the original intended method, which is the PC port. And unless you don't care about DLC trophies, don't go for this. It's a trap. But it's nice to have it built in on the actual game itself. So, yeah. Just,
Okay.
I wish it was reworked better, so.
Alright then. Claire, what's your tricky trophy?
I chose the one that of the game I did kind of discuss a little bit earlier, which is Devil May Cry, which was obviously just beat on the Dante Must Die mode. It's actually pretty easy mod to beat it. If you just went in and tried to beat it straight away with like none of the special items, it would be very, very tough. I never actually did any of that. Like if you play the game on normal, you have to play it on normal first. And then you have to go straight into hard mode. So like you can't do anything. You have to go from normal to hard mode. Then once you beat hard mode, you can choose to do normal, hard mode, or Dante Must Die mode. But what you could in the game, there's like 4 untouchables, which basically means you have infinite devil trigger, the power up kind of feature, and you're invincible for like 30 seconds. So there's 4 of them in every playthrough, I believe. And then there's like a few other devil stars, and then like collecting yellow orbs. So you can, like I can speedrun the game in about an hour. So what I did was I literally played the game on normal about 4 more times afterwards and collected loads of untouchables and devil stars.
So they pass over your inventory.
Yeah, every time you go into a game, it like crosses over you. And then you'll have your full health because you need to do other trophies, do the secret missions and stuff like that. And then just keep doing that. Like you don't have to do that. Like you could, like I just wanted a lot of backup. In the end, I didn't use all the untouchables or the devil stars. So I managed. I just had enough to ensure that I needed it, just in case if I actually did need it. I tried the entire playthrough, but like most of the bosses are easy. Like it's only when you're fighting like Virgil and the very last boss, I had to use like 10 untouchables against him. He's a nightmare. Mundus.
Wow.
He's a nightmare. But it's really about him. Like honestly, there's only those 2 boss fights. Yeah, and but you can make it like really, really easy on yourself if you're willing to just play through the game a few extra times, collect those untouchable stars. If you have like 15 or 20 of those, you can breeze through the hardest difficulty, no issues. So it was a bit tricky. It still is tricky. I mean, when I say breeze, I mean like maybe some other people might have some difficulty at it. You know what I mean? So I found it very easy. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not giving it enough weight on that. But you can definitely lessen how tough it is by just if you're willing to put that grind into kind of like just playing the game constantly and all.
How?
you have to do a lot of preparation then, don't you, to make it
Yeah.
easier.
Well, I mean, you could just do like play it on normal, play it on hard, then go straight to Dante most of the way, and then you could do that with like, because you could pick up the Devil Stars on that route as well, so you could do that with 12. That would be more than enough even to do it, but like I did it like an extra 2 or 3 times just to make sure, because the Mundus at the very end, he is very hard, very hard. He's harder in that boss fight than the entire game is combined up until that moment.
Which Mundus fight is that? Is it the one in space or the volcano one?
Awesome. He's a nightmare of both.
Oh, okay, from beginning to end.
But the good thing is, though, in your space one, attacking him only really relies on devil triggers. So if you just pop a load of devil stars, you can just let off your...
Yeah, because you do the giant star attack, don't you?
You do the dragon attack, and that just
hit the dragon.
That gets him down. And then he'll fall. You fall on the kind of lava part, and then you never have to do the space part again, even if you die, which is good. But you should do the devil triggers constantly, because you want to save your vitality star for when you're down there. And when you're down there, basically, if you just let off an untouchable, you're invincible, and you can constantly just shoot at him. And then the second the untouchable ends, just pop another one. You know what I mean? And you do that the entire fight, and you can do it. But he's mega hard otherwise. He hits incredibly hard.
Awesome. Good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, guess that leaves me. Mm-hmm. This tricky trophy is actually from a game that I platinumed just a day ago. I didn't mention it during my recently played because it was such a short game anyway, but it's a new game. It's on PS4 and PS Vita. I played it on the Vita version. It's called Inksplosion. It's like a twin sticks bullet hell shooter. It has like bright, vivid kind of colours and whatnot, but it doesn't really make any difference to the gameplay. It's just very colourful to look at. The premise of the game is you're like a little spaceship, like a little asteroids or Space Invader style spaceship that shoots projectiles. The sort of like hook of the game is that it's all randomly sort of generated. So each level you you start off with every wave. After every wave of enemies you finish, the weapon randomizes. You have your typical like single dot shots. You have laser. You have shotgun. You have like single dots that go further. It's kind of like pixelated, like this sort of style, like very simplistic. And also all the enemies all randomized as well. They spawn in different places. They all have their own randomized weapons as well. And it's just an absolute like clusterfuck on the screen. The game isn't hard in nature. It just on the PS Vita, it's just the version is not great. Basically, I will have a go at the PS4 version eventually, but it's laggy on the PS Vita version, and because the analog sticks are smaller on the PS Vita, I've said this many times before. The games on Vita versions of games that are on PS4 or other platforms, usually the Vita version is harder to play or less comfortable to play, or even unpleasant to play because of the smaller analog sticks, because of the turning circle of the analog sticks isn't as good as like a DualShock. So in a game that requires like finesse of like dodging through loads of like missiles and projectiles, as well as like using one stick to move your ship around and the other stick to shoot in any direction, as a twin stick shooter is, it's way harder than it needs to be. Now the trophy in question for this is the trophy is called Kill Them All, kill 100 enemies in arena mode. Now you get regular mode where it's just like wave after wave after wave and you just have to get a higher score, but there's also like obstacles that spawn, like lasers and all sorts, so you have to dodge around as well as killing all the enemies. It sounds really hard, but it is very doable. But arena mode is basically just endless waves, just wave after wave after wave, and you have to kill 100 enemies. And I was really losing my temper with this game because it's harder than it needs to be on Vita because of the hardware and because the game is just, it's like there's input delay as well, just very slightly. So a lot of the deaths were just because of I couldn't move fast enough.
Cheap.
And after doing this for like a couple of hours, my thumb was killing me. So that was like aggravating me as well, because my thumb is like, stiffening up because it aches, so I can't turn as quickly. So I had a break, came back the next day and I tried it for another hour, and I managed to do it. I did it within 2 or 3 days, but I've seen like not walkthrough, but videos of people saying like, or people on forums sort of saying like, oh, this is like a platinum that you can get in like under an hour. But really, it's luck because the waves are randomly generated, the weapons are randomly generated. You have to just be really lucky to get a decent amount. Like the best weapons in the game are the laser, because it's just like a long beam that can just take out loads of enemies at once, and the shotgun, because it's the most powerful sort of weapon, because you can, it's got a good spread on it, so you can get a few enemies at once. But you get the missiles, which fire really slowly. They move slower than the enemies, so most times the enemies move out of the way, and just your regular sort of dot little individual shots. It's just crap. So if you can get a good couple of like lasers in a row, because sometimes you get lucky, and you'll get laser after laser after laser, or shotgun after shotgun, or shotgun then laser then it randomizes. But sometimes you get lucky and get good weapons in a row. If you can get that, then fine. But most of the time I was playing, I just kept getting missiles and like single dot shots, and it was just really pissing me off. So yeah, I don't recommend the Vita version. It's cross-buy anyway, so you get the Vita version and the PS4 version under one purchase. There's 2 platinum, one for each platform.
Stacks.
You can try the PS Vita if you want, but I don't recommend it. Go for the PS4 version because I imagine it's way smoother on there, and got bigger analog sticks, wider movement. So yeah, that was my tricky trophy. It's tricky because of the hardware, not because of the game, unfortunately. Yeah. So that pretty much brings us to the end of the episode. So
it's been a
guys, anything? Yeah, definitely. Is there anything you guys want to add before we just wrap up and do outros?
I think besides the poll that we did for the THL, which was, I have yet to check like the results on it, because I think Nomad wants to keep it results live. So if you're interested on another THL or Trophy Hunters League for June, keep us in touch. Go to the poll on #updates. In there you can go and basically vote with the reaction, what you want to add up. Plus, we're actually looking for additional guests. If you like to participate in the Trophy Trust podcast, or another thing we're also working on, send us a message. We'll see it on Twitter or on the actual whatever, and we'll find a way to see it, because we want more guests, we want more voices to be on the podcast and whatnot. Anything else you guys want to add up?
Not really, other than just the usual stuff on our Discord server. It's always nice to see more people joining our server every day. We have a channel, our Welcome Mat channel, which basically just automatically welcomes people in with one of our bots. But we go in there and say hello anyway. That's always lighting up with brand new members like daily. Some people are now, more people are contributing to the monthly trophy challenge, the community platinum board, etc., like that stuff where you post your platinums. We're just getting loads. We just really got some really great activity. I mentioned previously we have the spoiler section where you can discuss spoilers about particular games and certain movies that have come out recently. If you have any suggestions for any other ones you want to add, just let us know in the suggestion box channel on our server, and we will look to be adding them in.
Yeah.
But other than that, the server's growing really well. We're always really pleased to see new people, and it's great. And we're trying to do more community stuff, of course. And as Beck said, we're open to people coming on the podcast. If people want to talk trophies, then of course they're more than welcome to come on if we can fit them when we can fit them in, of course.
Yeah.
But it's always interesting, isn't it? Trying to synchronize people. We've said before, it's like we haven't missed an episode yet, have we? We do this episode every week. This is episode 38, so we've done it we've done more than 38 episodes because we've done a few specials in between. So let's just round it up and say we've done it 40 weeks in a row. So we haven't lost one yet. Touch wood, fingers crossed, and all of that. And that means if we're pretty much sitting at 40, so in 12 weeks' time, we would have been doing this for a year. So
Jesus,
crazy, isn't it?
Damn.
Yeah, I know. A year. We're not there yet, but 12 weeks isn't super far away.
Whoa. Damn.
We'll have to do something. We'll have to do something special, or have some kind of big episode or something, something to work on.
This is like some revelation type of shit. Like, wow, I did not think of that.
Yeah.
Where was he? Let me actually check. I don't think we started when way back.
When was our
when?
pilot episode uploaded to our YouTube channel?
I think around April, actually. Last year. So, oh my, if we're gonna do this, it's already done. Oh my.
I think at the beginning we weren't doing it like weekly, were we? I think, or was it? We
did it weekly.
Hmm.
There was one point I think we didn't. I don't
know. Think we've done 52 podcasts. Like, even if you include the special ones, we've only done a handful of special ones, haven't we? Maybe like 4 or 5.
Something like that. I think the latest one was on Claire's channel. Damn. We're old. We're old. Damn.
Yeah. It's certainly been growing, and it's great that people are listening to it as well. It's fantastic. Like, we recently passed 100 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which was awesome.
Yes, indeed. Oh, wait, I got it. The first published one, it was on Claire's channel. It was on August 5th, 2017. So...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we put a pilot episode up on his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So that was the proper...
The proper one.
That was the proper sort of release date of the pilot episode.
Yeah, it was about 9 months ago, it looks like.
Yep.
Mm.
Damn.
Yeah, we'll have to do something special. Anyway, guys, we've rambled on. Let's do our sign-off. So, Claire, where can people find you?
On Twitter, @Claire88Gaming.
Vec?
You can find me on Twitter @TheVectronic.
And you can find me on Twitter @TheDazil. So, guys, thank you for listening. As always, you can find our episodes on our YouTube channel, The Trophy Trust. Please support us there by subscribing for future episodes. You can also find updates on our Twitter @The Trophy Trust. And there, if you have not already a member, you can find an invite link in the profile, and you can come and join our Discord server, ever-growing, tons of new members, awesome place. Please come and join and say hello to everyone and post your platinum trophies when you earn them. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. We are non-profit, but we have to pay our server costs for hosting all of our episodes and keeping them on the available services. So, thank you for listening, keep on hunting, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.